Hello, this is Cheryl, and I'm so grateful you're joining me today. Trust that this safe and loving space is exactly where you are meant to be, to ignite your higher self and empower you in this very moment in time. There are no coincidences, so trust the nudges that call to you. As I open, channel, and share today's light filled conversation, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. We are all working to uncover the truths that will serve us on our unique journeys. Each new day brings discovery, and this truth is always empowering, illuminating, and available to us. Now is your moment to deepen your spiritual connection. If it's light, it's right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of If It's Light, It's Right. And today's episode is one that speaks to me very deeply, and also one that I hear so often, not always in readings, although I am going to bring some reading aspects in, but that speak to almost the general public. So I'm hoping that this resonates to you. Its title is, or its main idea is how pets go to heaven, and that our pets do go to heaven. And I want to bring that forward to you in today's episode. But first, I'm going to start with how our pets on this human plane are not our spirit animals. That's another topic. So I'm just going to quickly differentiate that a bit. Then I'm going to talk about how our pets and our animals in our life can be part of our soul group as well. And I'm going to talk about how my sweet buddy was part of a soul group. That they come in purposefully, and I'm gonna just give some backdrop and understanding to that, and then I'm going to talk about how they show up in readings, how they come to us in our readings. And they come in very differently than a spirit does. So I'm going to just kind of move and talk about that a bit. So when we talk about our animal spirits, our spirit animals, sometimes we call them totems. There are all different kind of pieces that support the same knowledge or the same existence. So spirit animals are based on what we choose before we come into this lifetime. That will help us identify, have our brains really kind of pick this up. Some of us may never experience the understanding of spirit animals, and that's okay. That's beautifully okay. But some of us lean on that in our lifetime. So when we see an animal that doesn't belong to us, it's not a pet, it gives our path or maybe that point in time meaning. And I'm going to just share with you a few of my spirit animals, or when I see them, what that means to me, what that kind of gently gives me a guide, or I call it like a spiritual kind of knock, or even sometimes a mule kick. And I do have one that just kind of popped through, so I'm gonna share that with you as well. But they embody inner qualities and strengths, and they give us reminders. They are here for a lighted. We're talking about spirit animals. They give us a lighted hug, knowledge, step forward, whatever that is, whatever we need at that very point in time, or we carry that for our entire lifetimes. And so these spirits they come and help us in our journeys. Just like we have, I always say, a battalion of spirits that are always eagerly wanting to help us in our journey. And so too are our spirit animals. And again, I'm not talking about pets quite yet. I'm just kind of differentiating the difference right now. And spirit leadership, that's kind of how they come in, showing themselves in a way that resonates and reminds you what you need. Maybe it's, in this lifetime or at this point in time, you need a little bit more courage or determination or guidance or protection or all those aspects. And sometimes they show up in our dreams. And I do hear that sometimes when I'm doing readings. Oh my goodness, Cheryl, this lion or this panther keeps showing up and it just looks at me and I think it wants to eat me. It doesn't want to eat you. Generally, it's if it's such a marked experience in your dreams, sometimes that lends itself to something deeper. right? If you can't if it keeps circulating, and I always say, if it keeps kind of rolling around and rolling around, there's something for you to do with that. So, those are sometimes what comes through when people visit me to gain understanding. It feels so real, or what is this? They come, and when I say, oh, that's your spirit animal, they go, and sometimes they go, I knew it. I knew there was something more to that. And again, I always call myself, I really am just a validator. Our hearts know all our answers. And so, again, spirit animals come to us sometimes in our dreams and our thoughts, in all different ways. And so, for me, they come in nature. They come in with my real eyes and my real observation. And so, my spirit animal, and you can sit with yours, you can validate with yours, you can choose one. No rules, right? So mine is an owl. And owl, because of flight. I am an astral traveler. I have always felt flight. I've always said, even as a child, and whenever, when you have those conversations about, if you were a superpowers, what would it be? And mine was always flight. I always leaned into flight. And I understand in a deeper fashion now why. It is maybe my comfort. It is where it moves me to where I need to go. And an owl also resonates with wisdom. And so my need to seek out wisdom, to seek out truth, it fits with my path and my soul's journey. Another spirit animal that speaks to me in a deeper fashion, and I'm just going to give you an example that happened, is a turtle. And the turtle, when I see turtles, it reminds me, it's usually very purposeful, and it reminds me of patience. I need at least another lifetime trying to gain patience. I'm extremely patient in the right circumstances, but in my life and my to-dos, I can become very impatient. And so there was a time I was leaving, I think it was yoga, and I saw that everybody was stopping, and I couldn't understand why people were stopping in the middle of the street. And so they would slowly go by, and then all of a sudden, there I saw it. It was a giant turtle. Now, I live in the Northeast, so turtles are not in abundance up here, or at least I don't see them. But there must have been some water source, and I do recall there is one. And it crossed like a highway road. And so and it was stopped. And I was the next person in back of the turtle. And I just sat there. I put it in park so no one would run over the turtle, although I know it was divinely held. And I just watched it. And I watched it and just radiated understanding. The turtle just slowly looked at me, turned its head. It was enormous. I don't know, 70 pounds or so. It was enormous turtle. And it was going to a giant curb. It had to have been 10 inches high. And it just, with ease and its balance, just moved. And I just said, this is divine. This is a gift that was given to me. And in my moment of haste in my thoughts, I asked for this. I asked for this experience, and I was just touched. The beautiful creature that it was safely went into the woods, and I went on my way. And two more turtles in the roadway showed themselves to me. I am a person, when I see things in threes, even in readings, I know that is divine. So two more turtles in my travels crossed a road, and I was with my husband, and I said, "Oh my goodness, that turtle didn't get run over." And we would circle back to both those places, and there was no trace of the turtle being mortally injured. It found its home. And I said, thank you. Thank you. So that experience for me, I know it was a true animal. It was a human animal. It felt very much like a spirit animal to me, and it spoke to me. It came into my existence, my human existence, when I needed it to. And so that is really the premise of spirit animals, because they are held. All animals are a divine source of light. They are all of light. So I always trust that when something beautifully unexplainable happens with animals, that they are gently nudged or driven by spirit, because spirit can hold and move divineness. And so I know that that turtle and those turtles were given to me as a gift to say, slow down, Cheryl. You need to have patience um, so slow down. And it really resonated with me, and I took that. So that is the encompassment, very quick, of a spirit animal and the totems. There for spirit, there for love, there for reminders. Even though I did give you a real life experience I had as well, they do support that spirit animal feel, that they are there to give us signs, to help us on our journey. So now I'm going to truly move completely to our human pets, our human animals that we have relationships with. So as I mentioned prior, is they don't incarnate per se. Stay with me for a second. Incarnation is they do come to this earth, but I have to I walk with caution with the word incarnate, because incarnate means coming again with purpose, with karma, with things to accomplish in a lifetime. And animals do not have that. They don't carry karma. They don't, how they left a lifetime, they don't have to put that coat back on like humans do. So I hear very often people saying, I know I was that dog in a prior lifetime, or this dog was my father in a prior lifetime. Sayings like that. Maybe spirit is talking through that animal, and that is what they're sensing. But in my belief, in my understanding, is that can't happen, because we humans have karma. Our spirits have karma. An animal does not. It does not exist. There is no karma. And again, like I mentioned, there's that divine source. It's a straight line from that animal to the light above. And that is my beautiful definition of animals and our pets. And so, but I will also say, and that's where we're moving to next, is their paths, the divine paths. There's organization prior to our incarnation. There's just as we choose our soul groups in spirit form, in existence in other lifetimes, and we choose them. And I've mentioned that on another podcast, so if you want to look back. But we do purposely choose people to be in our life in this lifetime at this very time for reasons of purpose, right? And I always quickly say challenge, comfort, or indifference, but we do choose that. And I want to just talk about it in terms of pets. We do at times choose to have a loved spirit of a pet from a prior lifetime to join us in this lifetime for reasons of purposefulness. Purposefulness, excuse me. And so I want to talk about that, but I'm going to just take a quick, short break, and I'm going to come back and talk about animals in soul groups. So animals, just like humans, can come to us and have belonged to us in prior lifetimes. Just open your heart to that truth, to that understanding, to what that means to you. So just as we arrange, as I mentioned prior, just as we arrange that human existence in that that interplay in this lifetime for reasons of our journey, so do our pets. So do our pets. Just as I see in readings, which we're going to talk about in just a couple minutes, and how they show themselves, there is a bond. And that bond from a prior lifetime, sometimes it's very needed in a lifetime that I'm moving forward with for all different reasons, right? We don't judge. We don't do have-tos. We understand that they come for purposefulness. And very, very specifically and generally speaking, no cookie cutter answers on that, right? They come often for love and comfort. Sometimes they do, they're always in divine light, but sometimes they do come for challenge, but things that were needed in our lifetime. They're not challenged, but maybe their existence is challenged for us. But I'm gonna move to I'm gonna choose in this episode to talk about the love and comfort, because I think that is one that we hold more dearly and need more understanding with. So sometimes they come into our life because we've asked them to. Either we've fully arranged it on the other side prior, or we manifested and need them to come back in. It's not by chance. And again, I'm going to highlight that a little deeper when I talk about my personal share and how it's not by chance. It is divine. It is divine how we come to meet up sometimes with those souls of pets from other lifetimes. So they come into our life, and I want to just highlight one reading I did, and just to kind of move this forward again, how they come at very necessary and important times in our lives. So there was a person that came in, and she had lost a beautiful dog. I'm going to name him Marty, and there was such an ache in her heart. And for all the pet lovers that are listening to here, we know that ache, and this ache was very high. It was very high, to a point of grief that was felt deeper. And when she came in spirit, there was a deeper explanation that needed to come forward. So this Marty, she had detailed as like a human. This dog would guard me when certain people would come by, and would come and sit with me when my tears flowed, and I just needed to feel love and comfort, and come in that way. And so she was saying, I'm utterly lost without my Marty. And so through channeling and through conversation, this is just, I have to say, in my own little world, this is so timely, is because my beautiful Lucy Boosie is just scratching at the door to come in. So I'm just going to let her in. Come on, Liz. Maybe you'll hear her jingles too. This is real life. So Marty came through in a reading and very clearly showed himself to me. And so in path, what came through, and this young lady that came, it was told through Marty that he came at a time when she truly needed it. And it made me feel like there was some kind of medical tie to it. And through the reading and through conversation, she had very clearly said that he did come through a difficult time in her teens, when she was being medicated for certain labeling of challenges that she was having, and that the medicine and the withdrawals and the dosages was very hard for her body, hard for her mind, hard for socials, hard all the way through educationally. And Marty was that bridge for her. He was that connection, that strength, that unconditional being that was just, you could hear her, unconditional being that was tied to her. It was a connection. And so it came through that he was a soul connection. He came at a time in her life where she called for him, where she knew she would need him. And even though he had been passed for a number of years at the time we spoke, the tie was still so beautifully bonded. And again, that I always say, when you're feeling that beautiful, unmistakable bond. Not only love, but that bond that speaks maybe in human terms, maybe in unspeakable terms, maybe wherever that is, that that generally is kind of a lean into something that might be deeper. There might be more explanation, or at least validation to why you feel that way. And so and I hope I can get through my share, because, here I go already. Stay with me. So let's now move into when pets, and I know I talked a little bit about Marty, but I want to talk about more of characteristics of when pets come through in readings, because it's very, very different than when they come through when spirit comes through. And I kind of just want to give you that. I want to kind of just share that with you because it is very fascinating, and it's even fascinating for me when I'm going through the experience because it feels so different even as a medium. So animals, just like animal spirits, just like human spirits on the other side, talk telepathically, and that means that we talk during in thoughts. We don't see mouths moving, and I don't see mouths moving unless again they want to give me that characteristic that maybe they're saying something important or they talked a lot or whatever that reason. But I don't see that with dogs, or I don't see that with pets, cats as well. And but anyway, we talk telepathically. So they'll bring forward a picture or a pet or however they come through. They come through just as regular spirits come through. It's not a mother carrying a dog sometimes, although sometimes they say, hey, um, Lassie's on the other side, and they'll experience that, or they'll tell me what Lassie looks like. So that gives joy and comfort to the loved one that's sitting there. But when a pet comes through to talk to its owners, it's a different read, and they come through. They punch through just as a spirit does, but they come in very simple. Their messages are very simple because I want to remind you, they don't have that karmic aspect. They don't have that need to move through the emotional world as we do. They come in very simple, and they don't have that complex thinking that, or the patterns that humans exhibit in my readings. And so they come in very basic. They show evidence of them being in them. Sometimes they'll say, "Hey, I visited you in my dreams," and I'll say, "Have you seen your animal, your pet animal, in your dream?" And they're like, "Yes." I go, "And well, he or she's telling me that that was authentic." Or they'll just very simple pieces. They show evidence of them in the house. I'll see them. I see this animal is looking right outside a window. Was there a place and that was their favorite place? And they're like, "Oh my gosh, yes." I read someone the other day that I said, "Did you take your dog on boats?" "Oh my God, yes. We live, and we take them on the boat. We used to take them on the boat all the time." So again, they show evidence of them sharing memories, and sometimes they show their very funny personalities too. One reading in particular I had, I'm going to share this one with you because it was so adorable. And this, it was a husband and wife that came in, and they said we lost our pet, and I'm so devastated a week ago, and whatever comes through, whether it's my pet or I know the pets probably don't come through, and I'm like, sometimes they do. I can never control what comes through. It is the intelligence in what spirit sends forward. But in this session, and I'm trying to recall, because when I'm channeling, I don't have human memory a lot. So I'm trying to recall how this came about. But um, I said, that is what it is. I just got the bookmark. So I kept seeing a sunrise and I kept seeing a sunset, and it just kept filtering back and forth. And she's like, I don't know what this, I don't know who could be coming through in that. I, um, I go, was there someone that liked the beach? And I'm trying to open my channels to get more information. And it just, and I know in my practice, when it keeps circling around, I can't let it go because Spirit won't let me let it go. But there's something that I need to expand. Or I have to just repeat it in a different way until the sitter or the loved one gets their spark and says, "Oh, I know what that is." Because again, Spirit is always working through my gifts to get and make sense to your gifts. But the open heart has to be there for you to hear Spirit as well. So so I said, okay, well, now I'm seeing a sunrise, sunset. What is it with the sun? There's something with the sun. It was very marked in my visions. And all of a sudden, the husband goes, Trudy, I don't remember her name, Trudy, and I can't remember their dog's name. I'll call him Toto. I don't know why I'm calling all these TV names. Toto? And he looked at her like, Toto? And she went, oh my goodness, I used to always sing You Are My Sunshine. And I said, there it is. Beautiful. So now we have Toto. I'll just name that dog Toto. And he had other visions, could see what she did with his dish and that sort of thing. So that gave her love, even though the grief was there. And I said, okay, I don't know why I'm seeing this, but I'm seeing a fish. And she goes, I go, it's attached to Toto. And she goes, I don't know. I fish? And I say, I see a fish. And it's all by itself. It's just a fish. Sometimes I'll see like more detail in the vision. So long story short. So her husband also said, hello, goldfish? And she went, oh my goodness. And so that story went that her husband would have goldfish every night and that Toto despised them, never wanted a goldfish. And they used to kind of play with them. You want a goldfish today? And again, just that playfulness. And there were other beautiful messages that came through of Toto's passing and how there's nothing that you could have done with that. And that is very, very true. They give loving messages of guidance and comfort, never challenge, never warnings, never anything, just like our spirit world does. They always come through with light, love, and comfort and never want our journey any more difficult than it already is. And so Toto, that wasn't his name, I don't remember the name, but came through the same way. And our our just as our human, how we will at some point in our journey, we will choose when and how we will go home. We choose that. Animals do as well. They do that as well. And often in the readings, they show that to me or give that as support. They'll say that these, maybe passed at home or you had difficulty thinking about when to go to the doctor. They'll give those, but they chose that. They choose that in love, and they never want you to experience guilt or experience pain with their passing. Oh, here I go already. So I'm going to be right back, and I'm going to share my beautiful soul dog right after this short break. Hello. So my share is on my sweet buddy. Help me out here, guys. I'm going to need some help. So, talking about how he came to be, my children. As a child, I had a childhood dog, and I always loved it. And it always spoke to me to give my children the same experience because I love dogs. Okay, I gotta get myself together. Whew. And so I wanted my children to experience it. So when they were old enough to ask for a pet, and this is in the late 90s, they were preschool. They were preschool age, under 5, I think. I'm trying to remember the dates, but around there. So we and they just loved puppies as well, or dogs. We began the search. We tried everything. I tried shelters. I tried everything to try and find us our forever dog, right? Or our dog. And so when no dog came to be, and again, I want to remind you of timing. I want to remind you of not by chances. I want to remind you of the journey to connect to what my heart was going to connect to. I did know I wanted a smaller dog, but my lifestyle, I didn't want shedding. My daughter was allergic to shedding dogs, and we really did want a puppy. We wanted a small dog that would grow with us. So we put our names again in shelters. Nothing. Then one day I saw an ad in a newspaper. Actually, it was a book. I know I'm aging myself, but that's how long ago it was, and it was puppies for sale. So I got a strong nudge. And I asked my mom and dad, and I said, you guys want to come with me? My husband was working, and he was not a dog lover, but he was accepting of this dog coming. And I have a little side note to that on my loosey boosey side to end this year. So I asked my mom and dad to go, and it happened to be my mom's birthday too, which is again very interesting. I always use that word when it fits. So we got there, all different types of dogs. They put us in a big gated and just let all the puppies run. And so in my mind, I saw this white one. I think it was like a Pomeranian. I don't really remember. And I hunted it down. And I took it to with permission, I took it to a corner and was just kind of snuggling it. And the dog was, just like kind of looking at I think my babies were 3 and 5. So certainly they were loving and giddy and touching as they would. And so I said, I'm snuggling. And my dad looked at me and he said, nope, 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 nope. I go, but Dad, I love this dog. Look at this dog. He goes, nope, little girl, this is your dog. And I looked over. Oof. And they were snuggling. They were knee deep into this dog. And it was a beautiful buff, the beige and white Cocker Spaniel male. And that dog would not leave my children alone. And he kept saying, this is your dog. This dog loves your children. Oh, so sorry. Okay. So fast forward. I take this dog home. I listened to Dad. I felt him. And oof. I'm so glad this is in video. Instant bond. And I named him Buddy. Oh, boy, oh boy. He was beautiful. He loved my children. Canoodling them, snuggling them, being with them. All right. I gotta get through this. Flash forward 14 years. We had planned a big family vacation to Aruba, which we never planned a vacation that costly. So it was a big cost item. I did get insurance. I need to just kind of say that ahead of time. I did notice his hip slowing down a bit. So about a month prior to our vacation, one day, he stopped eating. And Buddy ate all the time. He would have ate those goldfish till the cows came home. And so I knew that was his way of saying goodbye. So, with ease and love, and about, I want to say, a week prior to me having to make the decision to cancel my trip, which I would have, but he went home 20 years later. It's still really difficult to talk. But he visits me. He's with me. And I'm going to get onto a happier note, even though he makes me happy. So, my husband did not want a dog. Did not want a dog. So, very clearly, Buddy was my soul dog. He was brought to me purposefully, handed to me for when a time I needed for my children to experience having a loving dog. So, I needed time to heal. And my husband said, no more dogs, no more dogs. And I love dogs. So it was about 4 years after Buddy's passing that I said, I have to have a dog. I just have to have a dog. And my children they were in college at that time, but they were like, Mom, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And so my son went on the website, and we didn't have any particular wants, except he really was focused on a female dog. And I said, okay, yeah, fine, I'm fine. And so he found a cockapoo, and which is very interesting, right? I didn't tell you this, but my original dog as a childhood was a poodle. Then I had a cocker spaniel, and now now I am about to have a combination cockapoo. So we traveled to the hills of New York to get my Lucy Boosie, which you heard come in. Again, my husband was, oh, he a big lump in his throat, but the three of us were thrilled beyond thrilling, and so it took a month. I don't even know if it was a month, but my husband slowly started falling in love with this dog. Nothing like my Buddy. Buddy was just a transient that lived in our house that the three of us adored, and he was uh, lackluster with. But Lucy Boosie, her name is Lucy, he just instantly was attracted to her. And there lies that eye-opening piece of a possibility of a soul connection. And we kind of all giggle because it wasn't long before, and you see these kind of in the videos, I'm sure too. Oh, I love this dog now. But if you had seen my husband prior, you'd be like, he is not a dog lover. And I'm like, I know he didn't have a dog, and there's no rules, no judgment on that. It's just the way it was. And um, so it was like a month into having Lucy, maybe a little longer, and he was just all in. And I remember him saying one time, we still kid about it now, she's almost 10 years old now, is I'd give a kidney to her if she needed one. I mean, that's how much he loves this dog. And I've never had this conversation with him, but because he's working with his understanding of light, and I respect where he is in his space in his journey. But Lucy is a soul dog to him, so she came back to him. And I have to say, on a personal level, that I'm so thankful that he loves this Lucy as much as I do. This is one of, I think, another lifetime, because I'm going to just call her back in too. Because she creates ease between us, where I was getting a little nervous that we would have some friction with another dog, because he really didn't want one and I had to have one. But we are 100% in support of this beautiful sassy dog that just barged in when she knew she was going to be talked about. So again, that soul journey, she's not a soul dog for me. She's a soul dog for my husband, but that was a gift to me as well. So sometimes we share those gifts, and I just wanted to illustrate that, because you see, animals have spirits, and they're filled only with God's love. They do not carry karma during their time on earth. They simply arrive giving us love and comfort. It is as simple as that. Have you ever shared an undeniable bond of love and friendship with an animal? Perhaps you're looking at them right now. Or maybe after hearing this episode, you are open and accepting that soul connections occur at an animal level as well. But sadly, we often outlive our beloved animals and must say goodbye to their physical form. But just as our souls continue beyond this plane of existence, so too do theirs. The beautiful idea of them crossing over the rainbow bridge helps us cope with this heavy loss. But know in your heart that their energy, like ours, moves beyond this earthly plane. Trust that their spirits visit us in dreams, in memories, and in quiet moments when we feel their presence. And when our time comes to journey home, they will be there among the souls who love us, welcoming us back. Our light in theirs lives on for all of eternity. Trust your light and all that it holds. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you on your journey today. There's so much for us to explore and learn together. If there's a light-filled topic you're curious about, or if you just want to reach out, I'd love to connect. Follow me on social media at Cheryl Bradley Medium, or visit cherylbradley.com to explore my offerings and events. I hope today's episode has filled you with the light to carry with you until we meet again. And let the title of this podcast stay with you today and every day. If it's light, it's right. Blessings on your journey.